Last week we saw some objectives, what you are to do after the lesson on your own. And today you are going to split compound sentences into two independent clauses or simple sentences. And lastly, split complex sentences into dependent and independent clauses. That is based on today's lesson. Last week we saw the definition of sentences, and we also treated one of the types out of the three types of sentences that we said we have. And today we are starting with compound sentence, which is the second type of sentence. It is a combination of two simple sentences. It expresses more than one idea and has two or more verbs. Did you get that? A compound sentence expresses more than one idea and has two or more verbs. Take note of that. The sentences are always linked together with the use of coordinating conjunctions. They are linked together with the use of coordinating conjunctions. Now let's look at these examples. Example A, she completed her literature review and she created her reference list. We've joined two simple sentences using a coordinating conjunctions. In that sentence, what is the coordinating conjunction used in joining the two simple sentences? The word and is the coordinating conjunction. The two simple sentences brought together are: she completed her literature review, she created her reference list. Now, to make it a compound sentence, we used a coordinating conjunction. Remember that. To make it a compound sentence, we joined the two together, we linked it together. And that gives us, she completed her literature review and she created her reference list. We can also have it this way: she completed her literature review and created her reference list. Do you get that? These two simple sentences can stand on their own and make complete thought if you refer back to the definition of sentence. All right. Then the second example. They studied COVID-19 rules for many hours, but they realized there was still much to learn. They studied COVID-19 rules for many hours, but they realized there was still much to learn. Now, I'll ask you learners, will you be able to split these simple sentences and give me two simple sentences? Okay, now, let's try it. We have, they studied COVID-19 rules for many hours. That's one simple sentence. And the second one is, they realized there was still much to learn. Now we join it. We join these two simple sentences together with the use of a coordinating conjunctions, but. Can you see the sentence? It made it a compound sentence. The third type of sentence we have complex sentence. We have talked about the simple sentence, the compound sentence, and now we are on the last type of sentence, and that is complex sentence. This is a sentence type which has one independent or main clause together with one or more dependent or subordinate clause. It is a sentence type which has one main clause, that is a simple sentence. Remember, a simple sentence or independent clause, or also known as main clause, together with one or more dependent clause. That is depending. The other part is depending on the previous one for each sentence to be completed. Now we have one or more dependent or subordinate clause. All right. Look at these examples. Although she completed her literature review, she still needed to work on her method section. Although she completed her literature review, she still needed to work on her method section. Now, which part of this sentence is a subordinate clause or dependent clause? What do I mean? That is relying on the other to make a complete sentence. That cannot stand on its own. And which part is that? Although she completed her literature review, that cannot stand on its own. It does not give a complete thought. Therefore, it is the part that is referred to as dependent or subordinate clause. Then she still needs to work on her method section. If you look at that part, it can stand on its own and make complete thought. Then the second sentence, example is, they studied COVID-19 rules for many hours as they were so interesting. They studied COVID-19 rules for many hours as they were so interesting. Now, which part, children, which part is a dependent clause and which part is the independent clause? Look at it. Can I hear you say it? All right, let's do it together. They studied COVID-19 rules for many hours. Is which part of sentence? It is an independent clause, that is a main clause. Then the second part, as they were so interesting, is the subordinate clause. Why is it a subordinate clause? It cannot stand on its own and it cannot make complete thought. Do you get that? All right. The video and go through our lesson. Listen to it over again and try and create a compound sentence by combining the two simple sentences. You know the meaning of simple sentences is also known as independent clauses below with these conjunctions. You either use and, but, or, so. Now we have an example. David likes to swim. David likes to hike. Now, if we are combining it to a compound sentence, to make it a compound sentence, it gives us David likes to swim and he likes to hike. Now, look at the remaining three and do them by yourselves. Then, also you are to do these ones. You are to also read each sentence and underline the dependent clause. For the example, we have, for the first time, I successfully passed all classes. Now, we are separating the dependent clause. Remember what we say is dependent clause? That part of a sentence that cannot stand on its own and make a complete thought. And that is why the answer is for the first time. Now, you do the rest. Thank you and still have a nice day. Till we meet next time. Bye.